Hello there, Cancer. How's everybody doing? I hope you're well. I'm really looking forward to bringing through all the messages that have come through this morning in meditation and in channeled writing. There's a lot of great stuff here for you. And we'll be covering the month of September here. But if you're watching live, there'll also be some messages that are relevant for the here and the now. That's just kind of how it works. So again, welcome. A little bit of love here from Apollo before I get started. Let's begin. I want to give a proper introduction for anybody that's brand new. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and every single month I like to show up to really help you navigate opportunities. I'm a big proponent of free will and really helping you kind of see what's possible. So that's what we're going to do today, is take a look at all of the energy available to you and really try to help you make the best decisions possible. As I put here in chat, this is always for your sun, your rising, and for your moon. And we're looking at September and really the couple of weeks that precede that as well. So like I said, about 6 weeks in total. I'd like to welcome new people, familiar faces, and also my moderators, Ryan and Maria, who helped me keep a nice safe space here today. Let me talk a little bit about how this is organized. There are 4 major parts to all of my readings. I like to begin with what I call channeled messages now, since there's really more than one. So there's a bunch of messages here that I write down on 3x5 cards, and I'll be sharing that with you. Then after that, I like to use the deck of cards that I've selected and take a look a little bit more granularly at all the opportunities in front of you. Then we'll look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, bring all of that together in a quick review, and then we go a little bit deeper into something that I call the soul path. And what the soul path does is allows us to take any of the big learnings or the big sort of threads from today's reading and elevate them in a way that will help you not just in the months of August or September, but also throughout the rest of this year. So it's deeper soul work. And I think appropriately so, after all of this is done, we do a meditation and a sound bath. So this is really a nice, all-encompassing reading. And unlike a lot of readers, I'm not going to focus just on love. It's going to be on all the different aspects of life, which is why this runs a little bit longer than the love readings, which are sometimes just 20 minutes. So hope you can stick around. There's a lot of great things coming through. Before I get into the reading itself, just one thing I'd like to talk about. I don't do Q&A, so a lot of people will come in here and ask the same question repeatedly. This is a channeled message and also a channeled reading, so I have to stay in that channel. If I look at the comments too much, I get out of it. I periodically will glance over there to make sure everything's resonating. But if you want to show support, a great way that you could do that is by, of course, clicking the like button or subscribing. There's also a super chat option, and this super chat is for live viewers only. But if you're watching it live, right next to the emojis is this little $sign, and there's a bunch of stickers, and you can also say something and pick a color and just sort of like put some encouragement there. It's a great way to give back. It helps me to continue to keep my supplies up to date. I'm trying to add every couple of months a new deck. So I did the Fountain one and Tarot de St. Croix, and there are 2 or 3 new ones that I've been adding in. And I actually like Spirit Within. There were like 3 in the past couple of months here. So I'll keep doing that with your support, and it helps keep it fun and engaging for all of us. So if you do that, I will call you out afterwards in the comments, a pinned comment. But like I said, like to kind of stay in the flow while I'm reading. So to that end, let's get started, because there's so much to talk about today and some beautiful messages at that as well. So I want to make sure that I can highlight everything in front of me. The first thing that I tuned into was I kind of saw you it's almost like there was a producer casting you in a role, and they were really interested in what you had to say. And because of this, I think that it's important this month to find a sense of confidence. And I'm going to skip here to the middle of one of them, posture and confidence, because your nonverbal communication is going to speak a lot to kind of how much people will listen to you. So if you kind of close yourself off, or if you're afraid of making eye contact or afraid of connecting, that's going to cut off some opportunities. Instead, I'd like you to try to leverage your expertise, whatever that could be. For some of you, it could just be a life experience, like being able to survive or push through something really, really difficult. Leverage that experience of being able to be perseverant and talk about how it made a difference, how it made you who you are today. And in doing so, you might find yourself stepping into a coach, advisor, or even a mentorship role this month, where maybe you never saw yourself in that position, but I feel like many of you have something really important to say, and a lot of people are more interested this month than they may normally be. So this is a window of opportunity for you to step through. Some exciting career things could shift for you. Also, just the dynamics of a lot of relationships could move around a little bit because people are a little bit more apt to listen. If someone in your life needs help or is kind of stubborn and you haven't had success in getting through to them, this is also a chance to have them listen to you. So however you want to kind of access the energy of this particular message, I feel like there's a lot of positive movement with it. So leverage your expertise, see yourself as someone that's worth listening to. Others should reciprocate that feeling as well. Just as an expansion of that, your opinion really does matter. If you are in a corporate environment, for instance, and maybe in the past it was difficult to speak up, one of the cool things that's happening now with Zoom conferences and teleconferences is a lot of times people might be called out and you'll be put on the spot. For instance, you might have more of a spotlight where you can speak up or be heard in a way that you couldn't before, because crosstalk doesn't work as well in some of those platforms. So if you have a chance to say something, do it, especially if you have something insightful to add to that. Express your ideas, and this is also going to be great for your personal growth, your career growth. And if you're not working, I think what this is about for you is, like I said, in a relationship, or if it's just even being heard at the doctor's office, it's important for you to get that voice working. And maybe in our meditation, we can focus on opening up the throat chakra a little bit to help you find that power, which I see in the cards, but I hope that you can also access yourself, okay? One thing that came through from a health perspective that I think is going to help keep you grounded this month is not to overdo it. And trust me, I work really, really hard. Sometimes I work 7 days straight, and I'm there with you. But I like to do things like take a nap, or certain days I see clients, certain days I don't. And just saying no and kind of having proper limits is going to be really important. That way you can do something, expansive and extensive, or even like stretch yourself for a week or two working a lot. So remember that it's kind of like an elastic band or like a muscle in your body. If you pull it or if you work it too much, it needs to heal. It needs to recuperate. And even with something synthetic like a rubber band, if you go too far, it snaps. So this month, it's just about kind of figuring out where how far you can stretch, where your resistance is. And when you kind of get close to that, stop, take a deep breath, and communicate your physical limits, your mental limits, and allow other people to step up. Because this is sometimes we cheat others of an ability to be their best, to grow, and to show up the way that we need them to show up. And I think that when you ask for help, it's a sign of strength, first and foremost. I hope everybody knows that. But it also allows other people to do more, to grow, to push themselves. So don't be afraid of doing that. It won't make you look any less impressive. And in fact, if you rest, and speaking from experience here, I get a lot of messages in my sleep. If you rest, you're going to get additional insight and be able to sort of go that extra mile the next day. So easy does it there. And I think that's going to be key. Okay, this is the next sort of phase of messages are really about clearing, opening, and welcoming in, kind of calling in something higher. So I don't know how many of you if you've ever had a really big move where you've lived in a place maybe for 5, 10, 15, 20, maybe even longer, a long time. You have a lot of stuff and you kind of really start to charge that stuff with energy. When you move, it's almost like you get a new lease on life. Everything shifts and changes, and it's like this breath of fresh air. You don't have to move to get that feeling. This month, I'd like you to take a look around you and purge old belongings. Because when you let go of those things, you're also going to let go of the cords and memories that are attached to it. And although I didn't write the word memories on this card, that's actually a very important component of this. I'd like you to kind of you can even scan the room in which you're currently sitting and see if there's anything in here that triggers a really positive memory. If you have something like that, they're great. Spend a little bit more time with that or put it more prominently on display. And if there's something that has a little bit of a negative or sad memory, see if you can meditate on that object a little bit and try to heal the connection. Or If it's something like you remember an argument, maybe it's a shirt that you wore, maybe it's, a mug that you were drinking when you were having the conversation, whatever, we kind of like put that energy into things. So when you touch that object, are you still thinking about that person, place, or thing? If you are, this is the time to find a new home for it, or to trash it, or to recycle it, or to do something with that so that it's no longer in your space. The really important thing with this is, because we kind of live in this like consumer type society, I would love for you then to not replace it. Just leave that space for a little bit, especially if it's a closet or a pantry or whatever, even just a place on a table. Let the space heal as well. And then it can be a sort of attractive force for something that's of a higher frequency. Now, what you could say to the universe is, I release the connection to this memory, to this person, to this thing, and I now leave space for something better, something higher, something more fulfilling, happier. So you're leaving room in your life for that new thing. If you're too crowded, then how is anyone or anything going to come and add something to you, to your space, to your experience? When you give something away, you're also telling the universe that I'm not afraid that I won't have more. In fact, I have enough, so I'm going to give this to someone, or I'm going to recycle it or compost it or whatever it's going to be. Somehow let it go. So it's a really powerful and important thing that you can do to call in something. And it's kind of like the cycle of life. You have to release, and then that allows you to create. An interesting sort of side note, my guides were saying that if you were kind of going into your old files, really make sure that you securely dispose of those types of documents. Shred them or find a professional agency that disposes of them in a secure manner. We're in an interesting time where a lot of people are, maybe at a point where they might be looking through the trash cans and things like that. So you want to make sure that anything that's sensitive isn't there. It was a weird message, but I pass along what my guides say. So securely shred anything that is important to you. Okay, now getting into, I think, how you can better cope and kind of shift your perspective and your energy a little bit. I think that we're learning to do this right now, but it's important to occasionally remind ourselves of the importance of just the simple act of breathing. Because breathing is a mechanism that not only helps you from a health perspective, but it also moves the energy in your body. Literally, it is like pranayamic energy. It kind of moves in and out. And the only way that you can do that is breath. There are other ways to move things in and out of your body. We sweat, so that's like gases and moisture. We can also go to the bathroom. We can laugh, we can cry. There are different ways you can get energy out. But breathing is the easiest, and we do it all day, and it's the most often underused. And sometimes our breaths are shallow. It's almost like we're afraid to take a deep sip. So in our meditation, I will focus on helping us really breathe. And even if you do one right now, feels better, right? If you ever notice if there's if you're having a difficult conversation with someone and they take a deep sigh, that's usually a way of them self-medicating through the difficulty of processing what you're saying. So if I ever hear someone sigh, I'll stop for a second and I'll say, how are you feeling? Or do you have something that you want to say? Because I had someone that I used to work with before, and they weren't even aware of it, but they would sigh all the time when they didn't agree with you or something difficult was happening. So I would use that cue and I would say, hey, why don't, it feels like you have something that you want to add. What's going on? How do you feel about this? And then I could immediately see sort of their energy go into a better space. So breathe, pay attention to people around you and see if they're doing that same thing, that sort of deep inhale, exhale, and try to use that as a way to kind of like take a temperature and see how they're feeling. The other thing with breathing, you can close your eyes, you can kind of look outside, you can change your location, but I'd like you to be present and get perspective on where you're at on your situation, rather than dealing with the very last thing that just happened or whatever's happening right now. If you can kind of get above that and look and see, how does this map in? What's the real trajectory of all of this sort of energy right now? This is going to help you from being sort of reactive. You can go back into being proactive and also understanding or taking things in stride And I think that's just going to give you a lot of power. So breathe, be present, get perspective. And sometimes for getting perspective, you need to move your your body outside of wherever you're at. I was talking in another sign this month. We were looking at, I think it was like the King of Wands, and he was in a box. And sometimes I feel like we're all in this box right now. We're in the computer, we're in our house. We have these sort of thoughts that we keep kind of bottled up in our head. And a lot of what's coming through for you this month is expression, breathing, moving. And in order to do that, sometimes you have to move physically or just open your mind and kind of move yourself into a different way of thinking. So however that works for you, I think that's going to be really important. Earlier this month, before I even started the readings, I was talking to a client, and this message came back. I told her I would probably use it in one of my readings, but I was waiting to see which one was calling it in. So this was the message. I was saying, like, don't panic and don't be afraid. Instead of being afraid, be aware. And this awareness, this perspective that we were just talking about, will help you find your knowledge that you already have, whether it is knowledge, book knowledge from this life, or sort of like the school of hard knocks, things that you've gone through and experienced, maybe by learning the hard way, what not to do. Or if we're kind of tapping into our soul knowledge from other lifetimes or from the kind of cosmic well that's out there. When you slow down, when you take a deep breath, when you go above yourself and you look around, you'll get inspired, you'll get the insight. So panic and fear usually can be assuaged by information, by slowing down, and by just exploring the options. They're simply survival techniques. So your awareness is going to either, like I said, be kind of cognitive, you already have it, or it's going to be intuitive and you're going to seek it, or kind of have a moment of an epiphany or some sort of connection to something beyond what you already have. Even scientists have the sort of epiphanies or aha moments where all of a sudden they are thinking of something in a different way. And you can do this. It doesn't matter where you're at on the spiritual spectrum. And I think this month, give yourself that permission to just explore. So you're going to be sort of like a metaphysical cosmonaut, going out there and looking at things and what you can do and different ways to go about doing something. All right. This is the simplest and the most powerful. And I wanted to end with this message here in the channel portion. The only way to finish something, especially if it's difficult, is to start it. So if you're trying to finish like a dissertation, if you're in school, you're trying to clean your house and you haven't cleaned it in 6 months, it's a mess. Just pick one room, pick one surface and begin there. If you're trying to start something that might be a multi-year sort of experience, again, the only way to finish it is to eventually begin it at one point. So procrastination is a waste of time. I mean, hello, there's no time for that right now. So I talked earlier, I think actually it was for the general kind of newsletter for last month, where the Fool came through, and I said, it's like one step at a time. You don't see a kid freaking out when they're learning to crawl or learning to walk. They just do it. And sometimes they fall and they'll look at you, and if you don't freak out, they just keep trying and they have fun. I want you to kind of be like that toddler and just move forward. And if you scrape yourself, wipe that off and keep moving and just think, I can do this. One step at a time. Some days are easier than others. Don't look so much at how much there is to do. Look at what the task is at hand. Go to the overview and think like, why am I doing this in general? So have your perspective, stay present, stay inspired, and just start to make progress. One day you'll look back and think, wow, how did I get here? That happens to me so much in my life, where I'm surprised at the speed with which time moves when you stop focusing so much on the time or at the tasks, or I should say on the tasks at hand. So begin and don't wait any longer to sort of get the right cue. I think what we're learning right now, I was talking to a relative earlier, independence is so important right now. We have to rely more on ourselves, and I think that we're learning that special gift and sort of developing that part of ourself this year. One of the things I also saw was kind of like a peacock as I was tuning into this, which if you ever look at that, it does kind of show all of its colors and really kind of stand up, and it's proud. And I think that what you have to do is look at how far you've come this year in particular. 2020 has been difficult, and be proud about the soul growth that you've had, and know that when you start to find your strength, other people are going to lean on you and see that same strength. Okay. So some beautiful messages coming through, and I can't wait to see how this kind of connects with the cards. Just a quick review of this. Expertise is going to be a very attractive force this month for you. Either you can leverage that, possibly in a coaching or mentorship role, or people will just listen to you more. Remember to have proper limits, not to stretch yourself too much. Allow other people to step in and basically reciprocate where they need to. Get rid of some old stuff in your life. And in doing so, you're going to release the memories attached to it, and maybe some of the stuff that's holding you down, and leave that space open. It can allow for new love, new jobs, new money, new things to come into your life. It also allows you to breathe, which is something that we were talking about. You need space to breathe. You need time to breathe. And then remember, this is the right time to begin. Sometimes we're waiting for permission. The universe helps you once you start doing what you're supposed to be doing. So the sooner you get started, the sooner you start to see progress and receive assistance. So there you go. All right, let me just get all of these cards arranged here, and then I'll focus on the tarot deck in front of me. Just a quick reminder that as I get into looking at the Celtic Cross, I like to remain quiet. This allows me to focus on the messages, the placements of the cards, etc. But right afterwards, we'll take a look at everything, and I'll relay it to the month ahead for you. All right, thanks, guys. Again, this is for September and Sun, Rising, and Moon. All right, everybody, thank you so much for being patient as I got everything set up. Let's talk about your catalyst card first. For me, the catalyst is a way to stay in the highest frequency of this month, and also just kind of avoid any potential pitfalls that might be coming through. And we have one of the most kind of primal cards when it comes to intuition, which is the moon. And even though that this is an oracle deck, it actually is speaking to everything that I would see in a normal moon card. It says, take note of intuitive messages. We also see moon cycles here. And whenever I see the moon, it can also indicate like a 1 month passage of time for you. So what we're looking at is not maybe just for the month of September, but it could also kind of be taking you even into October. So we're looking maybe at the next quarter year here because some of you are watching it early. So as we're looking at this next quarter of time, for you, I'd love for you to kind of go into what really feels right. When I think of the moon and the moon in tarot, a lot of times we're afraid to look at something because of maybe what it means when we understand or when we see the answer. And sometimes it's because we already know what we need to do. It's kind of like if I see Judgment in reverse. It's a decision that you've made, but you haven't sort of fully embraced just yet. And so I feel like some of you are right on that precipice, right on that edge of, taking a leap of faith or beginning something new or pushing that new reset button. And this card is reminding you that everything that you've done up to this point is exactly perfect, even though it might be messy, even though you might feel like, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to do this or what I'm supposed to do next. The moon card is saying, trust yourself. It feels right, you know it. And sometimes once you've made the decision, it means that you're going to have to do some other things. And it's those other things that are actually making you afraid, not the fact that there's a change at hand, not the fact that something within you has awakened or that that there's this sort of shift or this movement that's going to happen. So don't be afraid of the change now, the change in the future, the change that's already happened. I feel like you're actually just finding your comfort zone in that, wrapping change around you like a blanket. In one of the decks, I actually have it near me, the Light Seer deck, I don't think they have it on the back, but they have a beautiful death card in that deck because you actually see like a gateway within its face. And what I like about that is it shows both the energy of death and rebirth. And we're talking about that because you have death at the center of yours. So I think if you could focus this month on the portal of rebirth or the portal of death or transformation. If I ever made a deck, I would call that card transformation somewhere on it, because that's really what it is. You're stepping through the portal and becoming something else. So I feel like part of the reason I saw purging is that it's necessary for you to get rid of these old trappings in order to really step into this new you. So we have the death card at the center, and death is not to be feared. The death card is reversed. So what I'm seeing with this is that you are ending the period of stagnation. Because when transformation or when rebirth is not happening, AKA reversed, to me that means that for some of you, you maybe hit a glass ceiling at a place that you're working. There's a relationship and things just have fallen apart. Or there's a part of your life where you just look at it and you think, I'm not feeling it. Trust the moon energy that we're seeing here. And it really is emotional. That's going to be part of this because we have the Three of Swords here. Look at all the cords on this one. We're not actually even seeing the heart. That's why I wanted you to let go of the trappings or the attachment to something. When it comes to a job in particular, people don't realize that this can cut the same way as losing someone that you love, especially if you've been at a place for like 20 or 30 years, or if you're very attached to a title that you had or a job role that you had and that has ended. And this is something that's happening a lot to people. You're either furloughed or laid off, or the job is ended, or maybe there's some of you have taken demotions and it has an effect on you. It's like, am I less than? No. What's really happening right now is the universe is stepping in and saying the growth at that space, it was time to move on. A lot of times we receive a difficult message because maybe we've stayed too long. We stagnated. It was comfortable, but it wasn't really feeding you in the way that it needed to. And you stayed past the point that it was still sort of developmental for you. At this point, although it's a difficult blow, it's giving you a chance to move on. Now, because we are in COVID-19, I cannot overlook the fact that death and Three of Swords can be dealing with death in your life. And a lot of you have lost people that you love. And it's okay to go through grief. And there's no, I say this a lot, but I think it's important. There's no expiration date. There's no right way to do it. And you alone can go through that journey. But I see some beautiful things around you, specifically the Two of Cups, showing me that if you've lost someone that you've loved, there's love still around you and there'll be love again. And there's also people that want to support you. And hopefully that helps. And the other thing that I'm seeing for you too is that I think you're going to find a way to move forward here. We have I don't know if it's a stork, it looks like it, but in Temperance here, we see someone fanning the flame of their own energy, being able to get back to a sort of sense of, I've got this, a new even. Just take your time. It will take time. I've lost people in my life before, and it can take months, it can take years. And again, there's no right or wrong amount of time. The one thing that I will say overall, though, I love that transformation is at the heart of this. However the month begins, you're going to end it in a much different space. And with Temperance as your final card, you're going to be okay. So if it was tumultuous at the beginning, you're going to find your way to being all right. Let's talk about some of the other things that are coming through. Looking in your deep past, we have the Six of Wands, and this is the transformative energy that we were talking about. And I love that. I actually think some transformation cards should have a butterfly on it because it's or a moth, because they're both symbols of really changing yourself and really moving through all of that energy. But with this, the Five of Wands in reverse, the Six of Wands in reverse. This is a lot of times, I think in yesterday's reading about this, but the energy of it is already positive. It tells me that many of you have held a really high bar of excellence for yourself. You care a lot about doing well for others, working hard to maybe even do something for like community gain. Like maybe you are giving back in the way of like being a teacher or somehow healing people, or you're doing something of service. Maybe you also just really cared about what your family wanted for you. I just see hard work and a good work ethic with this. What I'd love for you to do now is to realize that whatever you had to prove to others has been proven, whether or not you received the love, the gratitude, the acknowledgement that you were looking for. You always did it for yourself. So just know now that this is enough. Now what's important is to do truly what your heart and your soul and what we see here in the moon, the sort of instinct is telling you to do. It's okay now to live for you. Okay. And sometimes when the death happens in your life, it could be a physical death. It could also be a loss of a job. In the absence of something, then you figure out the truth of yourself, because particularly like a relationship, it can just be a divorce. When the person's gone and the voice is gone and the talking is gone, it's just sort of like, it's just you and your thoughts. It all starts to make sense, and you can see everything clearer because the tension has dissipated. And so I feel like there's a great healing energy that's going to happen for many of you this month, because you are a deeply emotional and deeply tapped in sort of sign. It's important to honor that and find a way to use it somehow in your life that's going to make you feel empowered and proud of the journey that you've come through. Even if it was difficult, you could think, how did I get through that? I don't know. I guess I'm stronger than I thought. I am stronger than I thought. And kind of work yourself into that energy. Now, for some of you, this could just be exciting. Death and Three of Swords can literally be like, I am sick of whatever this is, and I am free now, and I can spread my wings, and I'm not worried about what all these people are doing, because this is an oppressive force. Sometimes the Six of Wands can push you down. Any of the Wands cards in reverse can be sort of pressure. So if it's the 9 or 10 or 6, it's basically what I'm just saying is free yourself from the pressure to please others. And in doing so, you're going to really start to figure out who you are. So we have the Knight of Wands card here. And this one almost looks like an ace to me. It feels like you've got a brand new sort of view of yourself, a new idea. And you might be able to, also we have a snake on here, which is showing your power. You kind of find your power or reclaim your power. So this is for you maybe a rebirth or renaissance period for you. And I'm excited for those of you that have kind of come through the flame, come through the fire. You're ready to raise yourself up like a phoenix from the ashes. This is the time to do it. But you have to sort of think about just kind of have fun with the possibilities, instead of thinking like, oh my gosh, I lost this, or I worked so hard to get this, and now what? Instead think, now what? Like, now I can really do something because I want to do something, and it's liberating. And I've been talking to a lot of signs about kind of my own career trajectory, but I remember when I left my job, it was 6 months after I lost a parent. So then I lost the job I quit. It's not like I lost it, but I lost someone in my life, then I quit a job, and it was like a double whammy. And for about 3 to 4 months, I needed to just regroup and figure out what's next. What am I going to do? And that's how I'm on this path right now. I decided I didn't want to go back ever to a corporate job. I had done that, and enough was enough. And if I started to do things with my life, they needed to make a difference. I also wanted to take ownership over what I was doing. And I wanted my words and my actions and everything to I wanted accountability for it. And so everything you see on my channel, everything that I do, it's all me. And that was my decision that I made back in 2015. And it was the best thing that I did. But I literally went through a double death period there, losing my title, losing my job, losing a family member. And and reforging who I was. So I stepped into this sort of excitement because I was excited I needed to change. So if you can embrace that energy of death at the center, it can be the most powerful thing ever. So just wanted to share with you, death can be a beautiful thing in the literal sense and also in the sort of metaphorical sense, because I had both happen. When you lose someone or something in your life, sometimes that solidifies what is not important. And for me, it was the unnecessary meetings, the levels of authority that I had to go through just to purchase a stapler. There were so many things where I thought, this is a waste of time and energy and lifeblood. I got to do something else. So if you can find what your new future is, what your true purpose is, and then work hard to make it happen, you can do this, okay? But it's hard work. And I've been saying that to everybody this month. You have to step forward into that and not be afraid of that. Otherwise, stagnation. So you have a choice this month. The choice is yours. I'm just here to kind of like show the path, okay? What I see in the crowning position is the daughter of wands. So daughter would be like a page. So this is about, we have the Knight of Wands and then the Page of Wands. This was the communication thing that I was talking about, the nonverbal communication and posture and confidence. Because to me, a lot of times, it's not just what you say, it's what you do, and it's also how you hold yourself and how you're communicating it. And I mentioned before that wands can even extend to your throat because it's the muscles. So we think of swords being speech, but sometimes how you hold yourself and how you use your muscles. So do you believe what you are saying this month? Do you feel confident in who you are? Because for some of you, the thoughts and the actions and the sort of nonverbal communication, they're not aligning. So I think what you could focus on this month is a mantra. I'm stronger than I think I am. I have valuable things to say and people want to hear me. I'm excited about the changes and the opportunities in front of me. Just say some positive, affirmative things, and it will create a shift and it will open up your throat. It will help you communicate better. And I feel like there's a chance to make some changes happen. Then we see the Knight of Pentacles here in the near future. So we have a lot of court cards, by the way. We have two knights, Knight of Wands, Knight of Pentacles, and then we have the Page of Wands in between it. So for some of you, this is because there's a lot of people in the room. There's a lot of people kind of around you. This is the mentorship and the leadership thing that I was talking about. So if you're ready, I feel like you've got a captive audience here that's ready to work around you. And you step into the Papa card here, the Father of Pentacles. And I see multiple people here that can help you with that. We have two strong people that can help you execute things. Another person that can also help you with the delivery of messages. So it's great. We actually almost got the whole suit of wands here. The page, the knight, and yeah, the page and the knight here. And then we have the two pentacles. This could also be two different relationships or two different families that are merging together. So in this weird time that we're in with coronavirus, you might have an extended family that's kind of living together as well. A lot of personalities this month. So I think I really would love for you to step into this particular card because it's the strongest of all of the ones that I have here. And it's also in the ego. So this represents you. And this is about being a person that people can rely on. This is about trusting your insight. This is also kindness and generosity and all of these things personified. It's a good card for money, by the way, too. So if you have an idea and you want to work on it, partnership is what I see here. A chance to connect with some other people. You don't have to do this alone this time. Even if you're a sole proprietor or whatever, you could hire people. I feel like there's people coming into your life that want to support you. If you are a matriarch or patriarch, maybe you're a grandma or a grandpa and there's a lot of people in your life, don't be afraid this month to connect with them. I know we can't always do face-to-face things, but there's a lot of love around you that wants to come in. If you're looking for love this month, you have choices. And I would say the important thing is to be discerning. At least one of these could be an X because of the Death and the Three of Swords card, or you might be focusing on releasing an old relationship. So this month, it's important to heal the past, release some of the energy and the thoughts and the things that you are holding on to from the past, and then step into these new sort of opportunities in front of you. With all of these choices, I think for you, it's just really important to make sure that you're not getting lost in the shuffle. And the most powerful relationship, I would say the most powerful relationship is the one that you have with yourself. So if you know who you are and you feel like you're self-sufficient, the people around you will fall into that energy as well, and you'll be calling in. I talk about this a lot, kind of like a binary star, rather than trying to have someone that is fixing a piece of you or filling up like a puzzle piece that's missing. You want to be a complete puzzle. It's all filled in, all the little chips are in place, and you see yourself shining brightly, and then you attract someone else who's done the same work on themselves. So it's great developmental work with this as well. For those of you that want to just put your energy into a project, the fact that we see the Two of Cups right above this tells me that you have some attractive energy with that. And I was saying about like leveraging your expertise, people will be very interested in what you have to say. So if you are an artist, this could be a month where you find someone that wants to represent you, or that you just have a lot of commercial success with what you're doing, especially if the message is something that brings people into that place of love or hope or light, which is what we need right now. With roses, there are always thorns. Nobody's perfect, yourself included. So as you look at people around you and you look at yourself, take the good with the bad and figure out how you're going to kind of work on that. The more you start to heal yourself, the better that you're actually going to, all relationships will benefit from that kindness and that healing that you do within. All right, as we look at hopes, fears, and opportunities this month, we have the Hierophant in reverse. And for this particular card, it's important to kind of have maybe an unconventional approach towards things. In its upright position, usually you rely on things that are tried and true and that work, and it's about working through bureaucracy. When it's reversed, it can actually be about finding, you notice that this raven or the crow is holding a key. The key to your success or to your sort of problem solving this month is about out of the box thinking, about possibly finding a different route. So, if you were thinking of going to one school, you might try it different. If you were going to go towards one path of like your career, you could take all of your different skills and repackage them. For me, for instance, if I was originally looking at publishing, I decided to do self-publishing. It's taking a different path that can help you achieve the same end. There's no right way. So I want you to look around you and think, what else could I do? How else could I do this? And maybe how else could I see myself, so that you're not so limited by just your title, your age, your society, your place of origin. None of that matters in the soul space. And so all that matters is how it feels and what you want to do and how you can get that done. So I'm telling you right now, there's more than one way to solve your problem and get something finished. So if you were stuck, move around it, look at something else. I feel like you're going to have a lot better luck this time. And I really like what we see here on the outcome here with the Temperance card. As you can see with this, it's almost like it's fanning the flame of new opportunity. And we see all the different colors in this particular flame coming out. So I think that you're starting this really exciting new path that may not be sort of like this supernova. Sometimes beginnings are really subtle, really quiet, and sort of deceptively easy. I think things are going to start to pick up for you. I also like, if we look at what, if you take it back, you sort of see the infinity sign with this snake. You're starting a new cycle. This was in your crowning position. So slow, steady, and consistent is the way to make this cycle work. Every day, a new step, and not worrying so much about how much it takes to finish. Instead, thinking, I love what I'm doing now. I'm so grateful that I chose this path, So ownership, decisiveness, confidence, moving towards that path, whatever that is, you're going to be in a better space. And hopefully that helps. Okay. I'm going to take a quick drink here, and then we're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, and continue to get some insights on the spread. Okay. So let's take a look now at your health card, which is multi-part. This is going to be mind, body, and spirit. And as I've been saying a lot this month, this isn't just about your physical self. I really think it's about emotional and spiritual as well. And so what we see here is joy and stability. Are you happy? It's a simple question, but sometimes it's hard for us to kind of like quantify that. So this is in your health place. This could be, are you happy in general. Are you happy with your job? Are you happy with your relationships? Or are you happy with what you're doing with that energy with other people? Like, what's going on in your life? Do you feel a sense of fulfillment? Because I think that happiness isn't just, that sort of emotion. It's also like, do I feel like my cup, my Ace of Cups, is overflowing? If not, what's depleting you? And by looking at that, this is going to help you find more joy and to be more stable. Those things that destabilize or deplete your sort of emotional store, that's what I think you need to kind of go into this month and find a way to kind of balance it out, right? We also see the beautiful solar plexus energy shining through brightly here. So when it comes to relationships, taking your power back, stepping into owning the power that I was already seeing time and again in all of these cards, I think that that's super important. So those are the main messages that I see here. I'm going to look at some specific health messages as well. So if there's any family history of blood pressure, heart disease, or anything that goes on with the blood and the heart, I think it's super important to take care of that this month, because we have the Three of Swords and it's also over top of this Death card. So for me, that means a change for the better, deciding to just eat better, to exercise better, and to just basically go on a new path and hopefully break the chain if there was something in the family that existed there, or just to be mindful of that. Also, with the heart space, if you're unhappy, that space gets tightened and there's susceptibility there. So hypertension and other things can happen even without a family history of it. If you're sad, that's okay. Reach out for some help. Talk to some people. I see a lot of love. I see a lot of people around you. Heal the heart. That's actually the biggest thing that comes through. It's at the center and there's a lot of cards around it, because ultimately there's a lot to love. I can see it there. And it's interesting, the shirts that I wear tend to have at least one card that accents them. So if we look in the past, the message here that that came through, not only what I'm wearing, but also in the card, is you can and you will get through this. There's a lot to love. You're going to spread your wings. You're going to try something new. And the sooner you can get into that energy, the better. Love the butterfly. The other thing that I see for you is with the Hierophant in reverse, this is also about trying some different things. And we have a lot of Wands cards that are reversed. And so I would say not being stuck on a particular way of exercising, on a particular way of doing something. The more experimental and open you can be, the better. Also, with with one of the Pentacles cards in reverse, the Knight in reverse, you can't always affect the speed or timing of something, but it does feel like for you, if you could work on feeling like you're getting something back. So I think it would be good to do something just for you. It could be taking a class, learning a new language, reading something that you love, or doing something that just makes you happy, cooking in the kitchen a little bit and just enjoying that process. Do something that is for you and you alone and nurturing yourself. This is going to help you through all of that energy. Otherwise, yeah, it's basically dealing with sadness or pressure in your life. I think those are the main things on a health note besides the Oracle card. For wealth, wealth is not just money. It's also self-confidence and how you approach opportunities. Self-worth, I should say, as well. So we have surrendering to the journey, release control. It's all about release this month, isn't it? To me, this is very much like a Six of Swords card. The card is reversed, which tells me sometimes we don't have a choice in the timing of things. So maybe there was a limit on your contract at work, or again, furloughed or laid off, or you just feel like I got to move on. Movement is here though, with death and with this sort of Six of Swords-esque card in work. It feels like there has to be a major shift, and it could take a month, it could take a year. It does feel like many of you are kind of at least making peace with that. When I decided to originally quit the job that I was doing, I made the decision 2 years before I quit. I had to wait for my finances to catch up. And it was the trigger of like a family loss that made it clear to me, I have enough and it's time. Like sometimes there's never a great time. So I get it. So you might just be looking at your calendar, at your bank account, at your just sort of long-term goals. And I think if you could just pick a point at the this time and think like, I want to get out of this, or I want to make a change, or I want to get to the next level. I'm giving myself this much time. A deadline is good in this case, and I'm going to start to work towards it. And then you start the work now, even if you are waiting maybe 6 months, 12 months, 24 months to actually execute it. You're still doing the work to prepare you for that. So at that point, it's just a matter of like clicking the button, whatever that button is, sending an email or picking up the phone. So there's a lot of work that happens before that. And I say this a lot. It also bears repetition. The decision that I'm going to do this is the hardest part. The doing it, not so much. Motivation you need sometimes for that. But sometimes mentally making a decision, this is over, or this is something I want, or I'm doing this, it's a big deal. So step into that energy this month. And I think that's the most important thing. And everything else will open up after you make your decision. Looking at love here, we have great love is worth taking the steps that you've gained, you're guided to take rather. And it says make the effort. The card was reversed. So for some of you, there's this feeling of, is the other person doing as much as I'm doing? Or do I want to make the effort to meet someone if you're single? And if you're retired, maybe widowed, maybe divorced, it's also a question of how much energy do I want to put into the relationships in my life? It's okay to not have anyone in your life. I'm one of the few readers that I don't think like we have to focus on love all the time. You can take your love energy and you can put it into things that you can love. You can spend time with your pets. You can spend time with your family. Love is multiplexed in different ways. It doesn't have to be just a romantic relationship. But if you want it this month, guess what? You have the Two of Cups in your environment. There's a lot of support. There's a chance to step into it. And there's different types of love that I see coming through. So let me just highlight that really quick. In the past, we have the Knight of Wands or the Son of Wands card here. The fact that it's reversed, I'm seeing the power dynamics that are kind of coming through. We see the same energy in this. So one of the things I want you to focus on in future relationships, present and future, is a sense of both of you being at the table at the same time, being able to communicate, being able to share. And I think that's important. So have you learned and integrated the lessons from the power dynamics in the past? Then in the sort of crowning card, which is what's going on in your head, it doesn't necessarily have to be a person, but we have the Daughter of Wands card here, or communication. And how are you receiving messages? You know, it feels like to me in the past, there were situations where both of you just didn't see eye to eye and didn't really communicate the way you needed to. What's coming through now in the future is a much more grounded approach towards this. We have a Knight and a King. I try to get as close as I can when I see relationship spreads. I'd like to see like a Queen and a King, or a King and a King, or a Queen and a Queen. But with what I'm seeing here, this is more that mentorship energy that we were talking about. So I feel like right now, it seems like you're calling in more of a learning situation with the relationship. The sooner you can release the lesson, the sooner you can look at that relationship and think, now, do I still want to be in this relationship? Do I love this person past the lesson that they taught me, or the lesson that I was calling in? Everyone in your life was called in by you because of your energy, because of your karma, because of something you were seeking. Once you've learned the lesson, then you get to decide. Then it's free will. Is this fun? Do we want to kind of continue hanging out? So release the lesson in your, what looks like possibly a karmic relationship. And then once that relationship has been, once the lesson has been released, then you can truly work on the relationship and figure out how to grow, how to become two kings or two queens, or a king and a queen, a little closer, a little bit less of this sort of teacher and student type energy, because otherwise it's not truly, it's not even. And you want to be a little bit more even in the relationship. And I think that's all that I'm seeing there. Okay. Finally, as we look at your destiny card, destiny is not carved in stone. This is where you're headed. And this is showing the power that you have to move beyond the illusion of time. Time is a construct within this dimension, within this planet, within the world that we're in right now. But when you're in different light realms, it doesn't work the same way, and it doesn't pass at the same speed. And at certain places, it's actually a soup where past, present, and future, it's all visible. So we're not in that soup. We're in a very linear sort of thing. So what I want you to do, though, is to realize that we are cosmic beings. We are timeless, ageless, and deathless. We can occasionally dip into that well a little bit and say, I think I'm ready for this to happen now, or I'm going to do this now. We can shift the timeline. We've all been in a shifted timeline this year. The universe decided we're going to throw this curveball and see how everybody works. How you act and react right now is going to affect how quickly some of the things happen in the years and months to come. So I would say for you, put this sort of cosmic seed out there. Imagine that things can be easier and can happen faster than you thought they could. The belief is an attractive force. So even if they weren't going to happen that way originally, it's kind of like it gets into your head. But the fact that you now think that it will call that in. So I'm telling you now, if you want something to happen faster, just think that it will happen faster and then show up and do the work. That will shift the energy and you'll see a change. So you have a lot of power. You can't change everything, but you can change little things and you can subtly affect it. So decide how if you want things to slow down, you can slow it down. If you want them to speed up, you can speed up. You can't control the exact date. Not unless you're a master with manifestation, but most of us can just affect a little bit the velocity or the timing, kind of like in the scale of months or years. So do what you can to make that happen if you'd like to. But I see rings of time here, and that's telling me that everything's brought you to this point, which is great. You are still proceeding on the path as you should. If you want to take a change or a turn, you can. You always have that capacity. It's kind of up to you. Are you happy with the speed that you're currently sort of moving with, or do you want to change that? If you do, start to do the work and start to change your mind and imagine. It's like the Two of Wands. I see myself doing this faster. I'm not gonna, that just might require a different journey for you. So for some of you, that's why death is there. It's like, well, I can't do it if I'm here. If I want that to happen, I have to move here. So there's some changes and some decisions you might have to make as well to bring along that new timeline. Let's go ahead and review all of the messages, and then we'll get into the soul path and hopefully help with past, present, and future to kind of bring this all together. Okay, so let's begin. I'm just going to go through them like this. We're going to go backwards because I have all the cards together here. The only way to finish is to start. What a great message, especially when we're looking at this timeline one that we just talked about. So focus on getting started. And then once you do that, you realize that what a waste of time procrastination was. Because really all it does is hold us back from taking the first step. Think of a little kid, like I said, crawling. They don't overthink it. They just start to move into things. Breathe, be present, and get perspective. If you need to take breaks, especially if you're working from home, or if you can work outside, do what you can to kind of change up the environment. Also remind yourself and ground yourself in what really, really matters. That perspective is going to help you move through the changes. Be aware. Don't panic. Don't be afraid. Be aware. That awareness is going to open you to your intuition, that you're going to be able to basically kind of tap into either something that you've learned at school or maybe in a past life. And you'll have this moment where you have an epiphany and you can kind of work through it. Purge old belongings and the cords and memories attached to that. Then even though your instinct might be, oh, I want to replace it, don't replace it. Instead, allow the space there to call in new things, to something that's higher, that's brighter, that's of a higher frequency. If you have anything that is private or is sort of like financial information, make sure that you're securely getting rid of that. It was a weird little thing that my guides were making sure that I mentioned to you. Your nonverbal communication, also your posture and confidence are going to be key to your success. So as you start to leverage your expertise, also make sure that you are starting to trust yourself and see yourself as an expert. Coaching, advisorship, mentorship, all these things are opening up for you. Your opinion matters, your voice matters, express your ideas, you'll be surprised at the outcome. And finally, super important here, don't overdo it mentally or physically. Allow other people to come through. You're gonna have to basically communicate your boundaries, your limits, and remind them of perhaps what they agreed to do to help you out. You already know what to do. For some of you, there's just resistance in the change because change can always be scary, but it also allows you to spread your wings. Move past whatever might be making you feel sad or might be holding you back, and realize there's some brighter horizons on the basically for you in the future. The Temperance card is a reminder that it doesn't have to be like this massive move from, you know, super, super high to super, super low. Actually, it's nicer to be in temperance sometimes, to kind of ride the waves of high and low and then end back in the middle. That's the goal here. So I see you getting there, but there is some growth, some stagnation, some changing, some transformation that needs to happen first. You've got a lot of court cards this month. We have 2 Wands and 2 Pentacles. We have a page, a knight and a page, and then we have a knight and a king. So what I see here, for some of you, it could be a blended family. For some of you, there's just a lot of opinions floating around. You're the king in this equation here. So you make the decision, you decide what you need, what you want to do. There's independence and autonomy that's really coming through for you this month, and I hope you can own that. Keep an open mind. Do something to feed your heart, your soul. Give back to others. Realize that there's love and there's support around you if you're ready to receive that. There are different ways to get things done, and there are different timelines in which you can do it depending on the path that you choose. So it's up to you how aggressive you want to be and how much work you want to put in. The Hierophant has the key to both doorways. It's up to you which one you want to take. Ultimately, you're going to work through this, even if it's sad, even if it's painful right now. You've got this, and I believe in you, and so do the cards here. Joy and stability are at your disposal, and really what you want to focus on this month. Look at the old power dynamics that came through in relationships, and not only will that heal your relationships, but that's going to heal you now. You're going to get your power back this month, I believe. We're going to focus on amping up your power in the meditation. I want to connect with the sun because this is your solar plexus, so we'll do that. The other thing that I'm seeing here with health is just to focus on releasing stress and releasing pain, however that feels best to you. With wealth, change, it's time. It's time for a change in how you are working, how you are investing in your life. If you're retired, maybe what you're doing with the time that you have on your hands. Everything needs to kind of take like a change, whether it's a 90-degree change or a 180 change, that's up to you. But change is the main message because it's right at the heart of the spread. Relationships this month, make sure that you're getting reciprocity here, making the effort on both sides. And as we talked about a little bit earlier, I think that, well, actually, as I'm looking at this right now, what's important here is maturity. As we see these, all of these cards are kind of like in, they're different court cards in different suits. So I would say you want to see a little bit more someone meeting you on the level. So release the lesson that you have, the karmic lesson, and then see if you still want to continue developing that relationship. There could be an age difference as well for some of you, but I read it initially as maturity. So not like age maturity, but emotional maturity. So just make sure that you're getting what you need and that you're willing to put in that extra effort because it looks like it might take a little bit more effort. Finally, with time is a choice this month more than anything. You can stay on this path if you want it to happen faster. Two things are necessary. You're going to have to just decide that it can happen faster because that in and of itself attracts that. And then two, you're probably going to have to take a different approach and do a little bit extra work. The two things together actually open up this ability for you to subtly manipulate. You can't change it completely, but you can slightly speed it up. All right, let's look at past, present, and future influences. And with the past, I want to look at the change. We have death, 3 of swords, 6 of wands reversed. And as we're looking at all of that, that's public opinion and pressure to please others, then also the change within you. How can we kind of rectify maybe the difference between who you want to be and who others want you to be? And that's something that I didn't quite mention initially, but as I'm looking at that now, that's what I see. This is the old you, and this is what people expected you to be, but this is the new you. You're kind of evolving and coming out of that as a different person. So let's see what you can do to kind of be more confident about this. Okay, so we have the Hanged Man in reverse. This is basically the last thing that I mentioned here. The only way to finish is to start. There's no more time left to really put into waiting for things. And I feel like some of you have held back long enough. So this card is reversed, but in the upright position, I kind of picture the bat getting ready to spread its wings and take flight. So you've already gone through the metamorphosis. You can't unchange something that's changed, right? And I think this is a lesson that we have to learn sometimes, that once you've grown or once you've experienced something, you can't kind of put it back in the bottle. And so whatever you've discovered about yourself, you're now different. You're not the caterpillar, you're the butterfly. So it's okay. And for the people around you, what I would say is that you have to find a way to give, like, you can be patient. Change takes time. But I think you should stand up for yourself because that's what a king card would do. Say, this is what's important to me. I'm not asking for permission anymore. I'm just letting you know this is a part of me. This is a part of my life. I hope you want to be a part of it too. Leave room. Be strong. Stand in your power. Take that power back, right? All right. We have the Tower card in reverse. And this is great. I actually love that we have the Death and the Tower reversed because there's a little bit more control that happens when these cards are reversed. The Tower reversed is a decision to revise, revisit, or to knowingly break down something or destroy something. But with the express knowledge that you might construct something new in its wake. So in the case of this tree, for instance, okay, so let's say lightning struck it. What you would do afterwards if the tree was burning or it was kind of unstable because the roots were starting to come up, you might decide we need to cut this down because the tree is actually already dead. We can then plant a new tree there. We can do something. We can take the wood and construct something. So you're going to take the ashes of what was and create something new. And so what I'm seeing for you right now is a chance for Genesis rebirth. We had it at the center. We have it here, also in the present. But the Tower requires some work, especially reversed. You're going to have to project manage the change. And at least it's reversed, though, because it tells me you have the ability to affect it. If you're in a company and layoffs are coming, talk to your boss about what this means and express interest in your new role that you might be taking. If you're in a relationship and it's falling apart, talk to the partner and decide if you want to make it work. If you are bored or feeling stuck in your life and you want to change, do the research, figure out where you want to go to school, figure out what new kind of job or what new thing you want to do, and take action. It requires acknowledgement, action, and management. And then you work in the Tower and great things can happen because you have all the materials in front of you. Once that tree has been cut down, that's a lot of wood. That's a lot of things that you can do with it. So fortunately, you have power. Unfortunately, it requires work. But ultimately, it means that wonderful things can happen. Death and Tower are good energies when reversed. And when I see the sort of connection of the other cards here that I see, especially because in the ego, we see this management card and this very, very positive card when it comes to money, actually. Future, where's it taking you and how can you step into it? So we have the Three of Cups. I see a lot of opportunity for love and relationships for you. We have the Two of Cups, we have the Three of Cups. The question for you is, what do you want to do with that? If this is a business, then what I see with this is good word of mouth. Literally, I talk about gossip sometimes. You can see the gossip energy in the Three of Cups with this, or the word of mouth, or the sort of positive feedback. It is upright too. It's not a bad sort of thing. So this is good, good feedback from others. So I feel like you're headed towards options and opportunities. It also means that more than one person is interested in whatever it is that you're putting out there into the universe. And if you're looking for love, ultimately, and you've been through something, a really bad breakup or a loss or a death, there are options in the future too. Be discerning, be picky, because you've earned that right at this point. But I like Three of Cups. It is celebration. So after a period of feeling like, when is this going to happen? I'm tired of waiting for my moment. To 2020, which, let's face it, is the Tower, maybe the Tower reversed, to what we're looking at ostensibly for 2021 for you, which is this period of celebration, of being able to connect with the right kind of people. This is a nice story that I see in front of me, a nice connection, a nice opportunity. You have to decide to step into that because this card requires action and activity. So what I'm going to do in the meditation here in a moment is bring in that beautiful solar energy that we see in this card. And also to bring into the solar energy that we see in this card and that we saw in this card. There's a lot of solar plexus energy that was interspersed in all of these. So we're going to focus on amping up your inner light, your sunshine, and your rays of light so that you can bring in all of the possible things that are coming through. Okay. Let's go ahead now and let's meditate, okay? So hopefully you guys enjoyed everything so far. If you would like to like and subscribe while I'm getting set up, I'd love for you to do that. It only takes a second. Subscribing doesn't cost anything, but it actually helps my channel out quite a bit. It helps with being able to discover it. So if you could do that, I'd love it. Otherwise, please get into a comfortably seated position. Take a drink of water. If you want to lay down, you can lay down. I'm going to get everything set up while you're doing that. And we're going to meditate on during the time just before dawn. So imagine that you are stepping out into the early morning. A lot of times I'll do this with Apollo if he gets me up early. And you can feel that cool, sort of moist air moving across your face. Imagine that you're stepping kind of up this path. In LA, they're closed now. I don't know if it's been opened up yet, but there's a couple of paths here that you can hike on that are beautiful. So just maybe imagine a mountain path, and as you're starting to walk up the hill, you can see, there's just enough light that the sky kind of has this dim glow. It's kind of like bluish with a little hint of yellow around the corners. And as you make your way to the top, you can see the first light of dawn. And I want you to sit down, imagining that you are finding a space. Maybe we're going to use a tree again for this meditation, but it's a different tree. It's like a redwood or a really, really old tree that reaches way up into the sky, almost like the world tree. Super, super tall. And you get this sense that you are by probably one of the oldest living things on the planet. And as you're looking out at the sun in front of you, a single ray of light comes through and it connects directly to your stomach, right where we have our belly button, that old connection, that old scar that connected us to our moms. I want you to feel now that you are connecting to your cosmic self and also to the sun itself, which is going to come into your body and it's going to heal. It's going to gently move its energy and its light into the parts of your body where you have felt less than, where you have felt kind of weighed down. And you're going to receive a beautiful healing during today's meditation. So as you close your eyes, as you kind of open up to this, I want you to lean against the tree, first and foremost, and feel this sense of grounding, support. It's almost like you're getting a hug from Mother Earth itself. And take a nice deep breath, inhale. On the exhale, send into the tree, into the roots, into the soil beneath you, anything that you don't want anymore. Allow this to be that offering of clearing and cleansing that I was talking about in the channeled message. Think of something you don't need or want, a memory, something that maybe has made you feel just not exactly like you're being who you want to be. Send that into the earth, send it into the tree, and think now, I'm letting it go and I'm going to open up this space. And I'm not going to replace it immediately. I'm going to just open it up so that maybe light or openness or just the air can kind of go through it so that I can decide what I want to call into that space instead. You're just going to light it up with your energy and with the sun. So now that we've cleared out the cobwebs, cleared out the shadows, I want you now to imagine that you can breathe in the energy of the sun, breathe it in through your stomach. Also, see the rays of light now that the sun is starting to go further up along the horizon. You can see red and orange and yellow and tangerine, and all these beautiful shades of red and yellow kind of paint the sky, almost like the inverse of starry night, in reds and yellows and whites instead of blues. And then these beautiful rays are kind of wrapping around your body, almost in the same sort of way that you would see the painting. These beautiful arms and these beautiful rays of light, they're starting to wrap themselves around you and hold you. And you feel like now in your belly, it's almost like you are giving birth to a new version of yourself. That inner child is starting to heal. And you're feeling also the healing energy go into your body, any place where you sort of hold on to your tension, your neck, your shoulder, your back, even the heart space where maybe you're feeling a sort of constricted energy. All of it starts to melt. You start to open up and you feel this sense of being higher, brighter, and stronger. As you are in the embrace of the sun and you're kind of finding your inner energy, your true power, your higher self, just want you to listen to the singing bowl. If you're on headphones, you want to turn the volume down a little bit, but otherwise just enjoy. Take a deep breath. Sit up tall. Stretch out your arms a little bit. Imagine just like a butterfly or like a phoenix, you're able to become higher, brighter, more than you were. Just kind of stepping into that energy of the tower reverse, that you are now using the elements, using all of the experiences that you've had up until this point to become stronger and brighter. See within your stomach this beautiful light. It's almost like you have your own sort of mini sun inside of your body, and allow that energy to inspire the other chakras to start to spin, to light up in the same fashion. And if you were to step back, it would be like this beautiful resplendent rainbow of energy coming through each and every part of your body. And know now that you have exactly what it takes to get through any change that you're going through, any loss, any shift, any new movement in your life. This is the time now to choose to be basically the creator of something new. Change doesn't happen overnight. Change requires consistency. It requires a chance for you to kind of like just step into good days and bad days, but every day is moving you towards something new. And I want you to own that power, to allow your solar chakra to basically, solar plexus, to light up your life now. And as people encounter you in the months and weeks ahead, they're going to find a new sense of confidence, a new sense of purpose. Your voice will sound a little bit different because you're going to be able to channel that energy through your throat. Okay. Please, everybody, now take one last breath. Inhale. And I want you to take your hands, rub them together. Put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of that, and really feel the energy now kind of being pulled up from your stomach, healing this heart space, opening it up. You can even put it around the back of your neck a little bit if you want to open up your throat chakra a bit. And now feel this new sense of power that you have, this new purpose, and allow for that pain, for that uncertainty, for the sort of old version of yourself to just melt away. The sun came through and it was your transformative element today, allowing you to sort of rebirth, to imagine yourself as something new. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up today. I'd like to take a couple moments here just to acknowledge and express some appreciation again for anybody today that was kind enough to support me with a super sticker or super chat. I will call you out after the video is on replay, usually in a pinned comment at the top. I will just say thank you so much, but I see some folks have been doing it right now, and I appreciate that. You can do that while I'm talking too, just by clicking on this. There are some ways to stay in touch with me. I just want to walk through those right now. I'm going to start with my website because everything that I'm about to mention is on the website. So my website is nicholasashbaugh.com. And from there, you can access everything that I'm about to say here. So I'm on a lot of different social media platforms, and my username is the same on all of these. So this is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and also Patreon. On Instagram and Facebook, I will give you reminders of upcoming videos, and it helps even me figure out what time, what's next, etc. And I post the schedules there. I also do a recap of the channeled messages on Instagram. I also do it on YouTube here, and I post a version of the stickies here, if you, or not the stickies, but my 3x5 cards. So if you like the messages, click on the community tab there and you can see those. It'll take me a couple of hours to get all of that stuff put out for today, so be patient, but it will be out there by the end of the day. If you haven't already liked and subscribed on YouTube, please do that. It doesn't cost anything. Sometimes I do a whole video and nobody subscribes. So please do that. It helps the channel grow and stay healthy. And on Patreon, you can give back a little bit too. If you'd like to do something as small as $1 a month, makes a big impact. For those of you with the green text, extra thank you, because if you click on that join button, that allows me to have even a little bit extra to continue to buy new supplies and keep everything up to date. I already talked about this. You can also hit the bell icon so that you get an email or a notification on your device. Otherwise, subscribing and thumbs up doesn't cost anything, so consider doing that if you haven't. On Instagram, I am at @Ashbaugh. And if you want to find me on PayPal, it's also just Nicholas Ashbaugh. So thank you so much, everybody, for showing up today. Some powerful messages that came through. I really want you to focus on self-love and taking care of yourself, because even as I read for your sign this morning, I could even feel a slight depletion of energy. So I think that meditating is going to be important. Resting is going to be important. And sometimes change can be exhausting. That's okay. Remember, this is the sort of new dawn that we are building and embracing. So I want you to step into that 3 of Cups moment where you're going to be able to celebrate the work that you've done to get there. It doesn't happen overnight, but you're on that path right now, okay? Again, thanks to Ryan and Maria for helping me maintain a nice, safe space today. And thanks to everybody for showing up. It's so nice to see you all. And I hope that you enjoyed today's video and meditation as well. I will be back later in the week to do the next video. So I believe the next one is Leo, and you can check the schedule for dates and times. But until then, thank you so much. Much love and light, everybody. I'll see you soon, okay? Have a great week ahead.